Hi, my name is Walter Ryce. I'm the arts writer for the Monterey County Weekly, and I'm glad to have here on the show as my guest, Sandra Gray. Sandra is a longtime local artist, arts educator, and arts organizer, and I'm glad that you're able to join us. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Walter.
So let's start at the beginning with where you were born and raised.
I was born and raised in Stockton, California.
And for how long did you live the first years of your life there?
I lived in Stockton from the time I was born until I came here in 1971.
Okay. And how old were you when you came here?
I don't remember. I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where did the inclination to do art first enter your life? Where, as far as you remember?
The earliest thing I remember was picking up an oak bowl, you know, those round balls that grow on oak trees. And I had access to an X-Acto knife. And I made this cut on my thumb trying to carve it in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And I hid it from my grandmother so that she would not see the blood. And I still have the scar after all these years. And the next thing I remember is my mother remembers, in fact, and my father too. I would stand in the hallway looking into the kitchen, mm-hmm. and we had these vines that were hanging from little planters above the sink. And I stood there and drew in perspective the plants. And I was about 5 or 6 years old. My mother kept those for a long time, the drawings. It was pencil on a piece of paper.
Was there anyone else in your family artistically inclined?
Well, my mother would say she wasn't, but I thought she was. She was very inventive, and she always did all kinds of crafts. She did crocheting and needlepoint and crosshatch on canvas. She even made me a dollhouse out of crosshatch on canvas that I still have. My father's a master carpenter. He did that for many, many years, but he retired about 30 years ago. He started when he was, I think, 10 or 16. 16 is when he said he started as a carpenter. He's very inventive. Every time I went to visit him, I'd find something else that he had made with his inventive skills and creativity. So I think it runs in the family.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a precedent.
Yeah.
How did you nurture your artistic skill and your eye, like as far as formal training or informal training?
Well, I always liked to read. At first, I had problems with my eyesight, so I ended up getting glasses when I was in 2nd grade, I believe. And after that, I was doing fine in reading. And I used to go to the library every single day. And I found the books on drawing. And I would use those books until I'd used every one of them in that little library in my neighborhood that I could walk to. And I would use those books and teach myself to draw. And that was in elementary school.
Wow.
And when I was in the 6th grade, I had a very, very supportive teacher who really encouraged me to do my drawings and art. And I also had an exhibit, not a single exhibit or a solo exhibit, but I did have a piece of my artwork exhibited at the Hagen Museum in Stockton, California. It was a wire sculpture that I made out of a coat hanger, a wire coat hanger. People probably don't even know that they made them a long time ago without any paper or anything or plastic. And I twisted that with pliers, which were very plentiful in my house because my father always had tools laying around. And I made a kangaroo, which was on the exhibit there.
Okay. So in your 20s, you came here to the peninsula,
Yes.
and you came here to teach. What did you teach and where and to whom?
Okay. Well, when I was in college, I made up my mind I was not going to major in anything but art. So I majored in art and minored in teaching. I also had a hard time deciding between teaching and speech therapy, but I decided on teaching because I didn't like all the classes for speech therapy. Anyway, when I got here, I taught at Crumpton, and I taught kindergarten, and then I went to Ord Terrace because they had an art program there that they needed an art teacher for the whole school. The district had art teachers at all the elementary schools. So I taught art to the whole school for a year with $600 in my budget, which was a big stretch.
For how many students?
600 students.
Yeah.
A little more than 600, but that's all I had was $600. So we did a lot of art with recycling materials and things that the kids brought from home and things that I scrounged from different companies and different places around the peninsula.
Okay.
Then I went from Ord Terrace. Well, I stayed at Ord Terrace with the art program for only 1, maybe 2 years. I'm not sure now. Then I taught second grade because they ended the program because they decided they wanted a language arts teacher. And then I taught second grade for a while, and then a kindergarten opening came up, which I love, and I took that, but then the enrollment was too small, so I ended up going to Patton, where they had a kindergarten. That didn't last long, so I got second grade at Patton, which I like, and then Patton closed because Fort Ord closed. And the only job I could get was with the fourth grade at Ord Terrace, which is higher level than I like as far as grade levels, but we had a lot of fun in that class because every time I had a class, I always taught art. And I taught the teachers how to teach art at every school I've been at. I've done workshop for the teachers to show them how to manage their classroom for art and easy lessons that they could do. And after Ord Terrace, I retired in 2003.
Okay, so it's a long career in arts education.
Yes.
You were also doing branching out into other areas having to do with art, including your own gallery.
Right.
Can you tell us about that gallery?
Well, it was a surprise for my husband. He had an office in the building across from the hair company. It's a 2-story building.
In what city?
In Seaside.
Okay.
And he said, this little office next door is going to be your gallery. So I said, wow. So I started putting my artwork in there and spread it out into his office as well. And of course, I was his office manager anyway. And I made it my gallery. So it was actually two rooms that were adjoining that ended up being the gallery in Seaside.
And what did you like to show in that gallery?
Well, I started out with just my own artwork. And then I started getting other artists who were interested in having shows. So I started changing every month. I'd had a different artist that I featured. I even had one come all the way from Cucamonga, California, to display her art. And she did quite well. She sold a few pieces at that time. I had the first Day of the Dead celebration art exhibit here on the peninsula, as far as I know. And that was done in conjunction with CSUMB. I worked with, I can't think of her name right now. Anyway, she's very well known. Okay. I'm really mad. I'll think of it in a minute.
All right, that's fine. What of your own work did you show at your gallery?
Oh, mostly my paintings. I did have sculptures. Yeah. I had display cases for all kinds of artwork. I did mostly sculptures with clay, ceramics, non-firing clay as well. I've taken classes from San Francisco State during that time. And I did a raku firing on the beach with them. That was really fun. I had this one piece that was a ashtray that I made for my mother that was a man screaming with his eyes bugged out. And we had to put it down in this fire pit with these tongs and take it out. It was really exciting. Anyway, I had that on display and other pieces that I made at that in that class. I had some wax sculptures that I've done using either beeswax or just Crayolas that I melted down. So I had a variety of different kinds of things.
Okay. And also, as a sort of guiding principle of that gallery, and it was called Grays. Was it Grays Gallery was the name?
Gray's Art Gallery.
Gray's Art Gallery.
Yeah.
Okay. I've read that you also strive to show up-and-coming artists.
Yes.
Artists that didn't have a lot of experience.
Yes.
Yet, and minority artists.
Yes.
And why did you want to kind of help bolster those kinds of artists?
Well, when I first came here, I heard about the art colony in Carmel. I went over there with my little portfolio, and I showed them what I had, and they said, "Oh, I don't think so. No, you don't quite fit in what we have in mind. Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Well, okay, I just won't have anything to do with you." So I wanted to help other people who were having a hard time. And since I had a gallery, I could choose who I wanted to have in there. And I chose to help people who didn't have a chance in the big galleries in Carmel and Monterey.
Okay. How long was the gallery open for?
About 5 years, I think.
Okay.
It opened in 1994, I think, 94, and closed in 99, I think.
So let's talk about your art
Okay.
for a spell. Primarily, well, I've seen a number of different mediums that you work in. Painting. You do acrylic painting
Yes.
and mixed media.
Yes.
What else? What else do you? What other mediums do you work in?
I haven't been doing very much in watercolor,
Okay.
but I have done watercolor. I've done pastel. I've done lots of drawing in all kinds of media, like pen and ink. And that would be any kind of ink. I've used all of them, just about all of them. I like to draw on CDs that are used or not usable. I draw on the shiny side that the device reads.
Yeah.
So it's no longer any use once I draw on it, but it still reflects the light the same way as it does without the drawings. It's very interesting, and I like to do very fine drawings on there with Sharpie markers and use all kinds of colors and designs on there. One of my pieces is going to be on display at the Monterey Museum of Art for the miniature show.
Oh, yeah.
I did a CD for that. So it's a drawing of a orchid or iris. I think it's hot pink or purple or something like that. Anyway, that's on display this month and part of next month, I think.
And tell me about your subject matter. What do you like to paint? And do you know why you like to paint what you paint?
Well, I just started painting sceneries because I discovered I could do it. I had to put a background behind, I think, a dragon I was doing. And I just made it up from my head. So I said, if I can do that, I guess I can paint something that I've taken a picture of. So I tried it, and it worked. And I've been doing sceneries lately. I usually choose my subject matter by whatever exhibit is coming up that I have to do something for. I always did something for the Black History exhibit at Seaside City Hall, so usually it would be someone in history that I would do. I've done a series on African images where I did collages as well as paintings, and the collages were using photographs from magazines that I'd torn up or cut out, and also drawings and a little bit of just filling in with paint, with acrylic paint, to make it all cohesive. And I've done, let's see, with the painting, I've also done tissue paper collage But then I discovered that they do fade after a lot of years. And I ended up painting over them with acrylic paint to recreate the painting that had faded, because they faded to just beige and brown and black. That's all that was left. And I had brilliant colors like orange and blue and all kinds of reds and everything, yellow. All those colors disappeared. So I just repainted them using my photographs of the original artwork and recreated them with acrylic paint. Okay. So if there's anybody out there that bought one of those, I will redo it for you if you want.
Just bring it back on.
I will do it.
Also, your subjects, especially in terms of people, more so than other local artists I've found, you tend to highlight black people and Africans and African Americans throughout history, but also living. And is that important to have representations of black people and African Americans in the whole conversation of art?
Yes, I believe it is. I did a series one time for a publisher in this area. Can't remember which one, but they didn't accept it because I couldn't get it done fast enough. But they wanted something, a representation of each race for and children of each race. And I did one piece that was a watercolor that was stolen from the from Monterey, from Chomp. I had it on display there, and somebody stole it. It was about this big. Never seen it again. It's gone. But that's heartbreaking. So now, if it's small, I won't put it on display in a public place. It has to be at least 16 by 20.
So how has it been, how's the reception been for you in Monterey County as an artist? Has it been supportive? Have you found, has it been financially viable for you?
Well, it's gotten better over the years, a lot better. I'm finding that I've gotten better about finding out about deadlines. That's the biggest problem at the beginning, was not knowing what was going on so I could meet the deadlines. Now I'm finding out so many deadlines, I'm having a hard time keeping up with them. So, in fact, there's one that I've got to meet before the end of this month. And I'm doing a lot more with my photography now because it's faster. I don't have to spend a long time painting, but I do have some canvases that need to be covered with something. So that's what I'm doing. And I've also been doing masks as well. That's something new that I've been doing.
Okay, let's talk about the photography first, perhaps.
Okay.
What do you photograph? And do you do commissions? And I know that you do some local big events like the Monterey. You used to do the Monterey Bay Blues Festival, and the Monterey Jazz Festival. What else do you photograph?
Oh, I've gone out and gone to different places in the peninsula. And as far as Big Sur, in fact, I went to Big Sur for my birthday last year. And that was my birthday trip. And I took pictures all along as I got there, and then turned around and came back and took more. And I stopped at River Inn, and I took lots of pictures there. And I've had them on the web, on Flickr and other places. People have commissioned me to take family photos, and I took some really nice ones, I think. And they liked them at Lover's Point. And I'm trying to get started Grays Photo Tours, which is a business that I've started that I would like to take people around and take family photos or just highlight their visit to the peninsula and all the different places that are so beautiful around here that I know of that they might not know of or how to get to. And then I would give them the CD afterwards of all their all the pictures that they took as an included part of the package.
Okay. How's that going as an enterprise?
It hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
I guess I don't know who to contact as far as getting the tourists to call me for that. I've been contacted a couple of times, or 3 times really, from Pebble Beach. The concierge has called me to do golf but I haven't done it yet because it always conflicts with what I'm doing at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I have a friend who I call, and he's been filling in for me on that.
Okay.
He's really good. He's Patrice Ward. He does all kinds of golfing events, and he's good at that. And
Yeah.
I'd rather have him do it. But I did do a family that came to visit at Pebble Beach, and they had me take pictures on the golf course of their family group.
Okay. The masks, when did that start? Why did you branch into that particular form of expression? And what are you trying to do with the masks?
Well, I was taking a class called Arts as Healing. I have a friend named, oh my God. Anyway, she teaches Arts as Healing, which is a class to help people who are either seniors with all kinds of health issues or cancer survivors, which I am one. And we do all kinds of different art activities. And she starts with collage and then moves into mask embellishing and decorating. She supplies the mask forms, and we finish them by painting and adding feathers and jewelry that she supplies and all kinds of different materials to make them interesting. And I enjoy doing that. So whenever I get a chance and I can get a mask form from her, I just do my own thing.
Uh-huh.
And she likes the ones that I've created, and I've enjoyed doing that.
I've seen another iteration of your work, and these are sort of line drawings.
Oh, yeah.
That look very they look 3D, almost like relief lines. But they're very meticulous and like a maze.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
I used to doodle all around the edges of my papers when I was in elementary school, all the way through college, and in meetings when I was as a teacher. And you know how long meetings are when you're a teacher. So I decided I will just bring a whole piece of paper and make a drawing with these doodles. And a friend of mine saw these, and he said, you should make a coloring book out of these. People might like to color them. I started making some on holiday theme, like a pumpkin for a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween, a turkey for Thanksgiving. So I did that, and I gave them to the kids when I was teaching to color, and they did like coloring them. I'd encourage them to use watercolors or just crayons or whatever. So it was my uncoloring book. Remember, there was a movement for the uncoloring book where you have things to color, but you're actually drawing your own thing to color. But mine was, I just used it as a way to make use of my love of design and line, fine line. I just start in one eye and make it go to the next one and then keep going, or I might start with the lips or the nose, depending on what I felt like doing, and it grows from my imagination. And the reason it looks more like a 3D is because I started out with wire sculpture, and I kind of want to make the lines mimic the musculature in your face, and I usually do just faces. So it's kind of like a mask with fine line.
I see. So it's kind of a synthesis of like maybe the wire sculptures you used to do, and also portraits. Okay. So in your different art practices, do you specifically draw on different artists that have influenced you? Do you have particular artists or art movements in mind when you're making your stuff?
Well, I can remember really being influenced by Michelangelo. I never thought I could reach the level of perfection that he reached, and I've never been able to do portraits for people. I can do paintings of people, But when someone asks me to do a portrait for them, I always say no, because every experience I've had with doing a portrait as somebody paying me to do a portrait for them has ended badly. They look at it and they say, that doesn't look like me. I don't think I want it. So I say, I don't want to do portraits anymore to save myself from that, because there's nothing you can do with it when it's done. I like it. It looks like them to me, but it doesn't work.
Okay. So as we've all found out, your life, it seems to revolve around art in some way or another, or some fashion.
Yeah.
What does it give to you? Why do you is it so central to your life?
Well, an artist creates because there's something inside them that has to come out. And when I haven't done any art for a while, I just feel like I just have to do it. So I do it. And sometimes I think, can I do this again? I look at what I've done before and I say, is that possible? How did I do that? I don't remember. Sometimes it could be a year or more before I do that same thing again. And then the next thing, we have to share it. That's more important than the actual creating of it. That's why I have so many share sites on the web. So once you've done it, you want to show it to somebody. At least I do. And if a family member or a friend is not right there, I'll call somebody. Tell them, I just finished this. You want to see it? Or I'll put it on the web. So it's just, they run hand in hand. The feeling that you have to create and the feeling that you have to share it.
Okay. Do you want to tell our viewers some of the websites in which they can see more of your work?
I can't remember the names of them.
Okay.
I mean, the numbers or the letters is just too many of them. I have at least 6.
6, yeah.
I think 6. I have one on Flickr. I have one on Shutterfly. I have one on, I have my own that I just started this year. And I have...
Grays Photo Tours?
Grays Photo Tours is the one on Shutterfly.
Okay.
Then I have Redbubble, where I show my artwork, and you can order it to sell, to buy. And I also have Grays Art Picks, which is my website where you can also buy things, but I haven't had any sales yet, and I'm hoping that I have it set up right with PayPal. And then I have, I said Flickr, and that's, maybe I don't have 5 or 6. I have quite a few, though.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've got a pretty comprehensive presence here in Seaside and Monterey County, and that should be fairly easy for people to find you through all the work you've done over the years. And I'm sure people have appreciated your stuff and will in the future. Thank you for coming on, Sandra.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
It's been great.
Good.